You should watch this movie, Shawnee.
But why, Nathy?
Are you asking me why should I watch? You are listening to Why Should I Watch, the podcast about movies and ideas.
Rick and Morty. Not
Hello.
scripted at all.
Hello, Shawnee.
Hello, Nathy.
How are you today?
Are you recording?
I definitely am.
Oh my gosh, okay. Oh wow.
What has changed since we last spoke?
Well, not much actually. We're actually working, currently on my new rap song.
Oh, yeah?
That's due out in, hopefully by Christmas.
Rap.
Not going to go too much into the rap song. It's a bit of a surprise.
Okay.
And
I'm intrigued, though.
we're still working. We're still looking to get celebrities on the show. We've got a stellar lineup for you lot. We've got Darren Hayes from Savage Garden, maybe. Eves the Behaviour, maybe. John Jarrett,
Yeah.
maybe, and my dad. So
Yep.
he's a maybe as well.
Yep. I have literally no idea what you're talking about, but
I'm just telling the audience that we've got a stellar lineup coming to the podcast.
Yeah.
When they will show up, I don't know.
Okay.
But it's in the works. It's in the back burner.
Okay. And we've also got our mics the new
of
mics
course.
set
I'm
up.
talking into a mic now.
Yeah, ooh. Instead of us recording into the same device, so it should sound a little bit better.
It already does. We're here to talk today about Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Our thoughts on it. We've had a bit of a journey with Rick and Morty. So, you and me,
Yeah, that's who's here.
we were against our friends group. They all love Rick and Morty.
Yep.
Except for maybe one other. We were against it as well. We hadn't actually seen it yet, which was contested and
Well, no, I had. You hadn't.
like one episode.
No, I'd watched it and didn't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, what? I was jumping on your bandwagon.
Of what?
I thought you hadn't seen it.
No. Why would I say I don't like something if I haven't seen it? That's what you do.
Oh, wow. Oh. That's what I did, and I got in trouble.
Yeah.
People thought you hadn't seen it yet.
No.
Oh,
Literally,
okay.
no one thought that. You
Alright.
thought that maybe.
Oh.
What I hadn't done was so. Oh God, jeez, this is already off the rails. No, I had seen season 1,
Okay.
and then I got through. I was probably halfway through season 2, and I couldn't keep So in that sense, I hadn't watched the whole thing.
Okay.
So by the time season 3 had come out, because this is the thing with Rick and Morty, is the fan base has gotten so crazy about it.
Yes.
I think it was about season 3 came out this year because it sort of surprise dropped. Like an episode just aired without any warning.
Yes.
And everyone's like, "Oh my God, Rick and Morty!" and I hadn't seen up to season 3, so that's probably what you were thinking.
yeah.
But that doesn't mean I hadn't seen any of it.
Okay.
I'd watched season 1 ages ago.
I didn't know. You know, you'd have to make this personal. Like I
No,
went into this
I'm not making.
I went into this argument
Yeah,
by your side,
yeah.
thinking you had not watched it.
But
I think
why would that
because-
is such a dumb argument? What?
Because there's such big breaks in the show.
Yeah.
You know, you can see where I kind of thought, oh, there's no way you could have watched it all in 2 days of this.
Yeah,
conversation
okay. Well, if you
coming
thought
up.
I hadn't watched it at all,
Exactly,
yeah.
that's right. So that leads us back to the main point: is that now that we have watched it all, myself included,
Yes.
we Netflixed it, marathoned it in about a week or so. I think I got through it all in a week.
Yeah.
Did you rewatch it or did you just watch season 3?
I've rewatched. I've rewatched it, but not like I haven't binged it. Like
Okay,
I've watched
okay.
every episode twice,
Oh yeah,
but in a weird order. So I think I did I watched season 1 ages ago, and I was like, this is okay. I didn't see what the big deal was, which is surprising because one of the creators, Dan Harmon, created Community.
yeah.
Great show.
Yeah,
great
one
show.
of your favorites.
One of my favorites. So that's why I thought I'd love Rick and Morty, but it just didn't grab me.
Well, that's
and
what really we're here to discuss. Two
Yeah.
things, like our first impressions of it, why we didn't get into it or why it didn't grab you, and then our impressions after we had watched it, and
Yeah,
how it changed our minds.
Because are we both fans now? Are we agreeing with that?
Yes,
But we're not
not super fans.
Yeah, we're not like
but
the crazy fans that,
I enjoy
think
it.
it's
I
the
could
greatest
rewatch
thing.
it.
Yeah.
It is a show I could rewatch, and by the end of it, I was like, I'm really, like most of the other fans out there, really bummed to wait 2 years or so into the next season.
Yeah, well,
But we'll get more into
yeah.
because I like that.
I think I want to start with the history of how it came about, because it's interesting to explain the concept of it, because this was I think the hardest part to get into for Rick and Morty was that you have to kind of accept the world that they've created because it's
Yes,
animated
yes.
and it's like it's basically interdimensional travel mixed with like domestic, like they're in their house. You know, there's like the house.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a family sitcom, but also just this weird interdimensional time travel.
You got to think like it's a strange mix because you've got, say, The Simpsons. You've got the only time they'd really do all that kind of weird sci-fi stuff would be on those Halloween specials where they'd break the rules of their world.
But
But
that's
then you've got
really good point. Yeah.
Futurama who does that every episode.
Yeah.
But the world is 1,000 years in the future.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, you are correct. Whereas it's just a normal
Thank you.
suburban household,
Yeah.
but 90% of the episode is on an alien planet.
Yeah, and it jumps so quickly.
Rick or Morty or anyone will just die.
Yeah,
Something will happen, and then they'll come back to life.
yeah,
And
exactly.
It's just like, no way.
Yeah,
No, you're not told anything before it's happened.
Yeah.
It just happens, and you've just got to go, oh shit,
exactly.
I
Yeah,
accept it now.
yeah. So, it was based on Doc and Marty, which is the professor and kid from Back to the Future.
Yep, Back to the Future. Yep.
And it started as a like series of shorts. And Justin Roiland, who voices Rick and Morty, is also one of the creators. And Dan Harmon started working on it because he had a gap because he got fired from Community.
Okay. Why did he get fired from
Well,
Community?
because he's got Asperger's, okay? And so he's been known to be difficult to work with. And like he even admits that. All you have to do is look at like any like YouTube behind the scenes Dan Harmon or any like stuff of how he works, and he admits he's very difficult to work with. And so he got fired from his own show from NBC Community. And then so he had spare time. And I think in that time he also started his podcast, Harmontown.
Okay.
Shout out to that because he needs our promo. But yeah, he also started working on Rick and Morty in about 2013.
Yeah.
And
so that's how old it is. It's 4 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah. And this is the thing, and it's only up to season 3. So basically like the first episode sort of came out and it's on Adult Swim. So it's kind of like the context of like the channel is that it's just all animated stuff. Have you ever seen Robot Chicken?
Yes.
That's like one of the biggest shows, yeah. Which is like Seth Green, who's in like every movie.
Seth Green.
And he's the voice of Chris in Family Guy, I think, the kid.
That Archer, is it?
Yeah,
Archer,
Archer's
I
on
think?
that. Yeah. So it's basically, if you put it in that context, it's like they're just competing with really odd, it's like quirky comedies.
Shows that stand out. in
Animated
their own right.
comedies for
like
adults.
Archer and
Yeah.
Robot Chicken.
Yeah. So
Those really stand out.
Most of those shows, it's like you got to take a premise and make it as like bizarre as possible.
Yeah.
Like you got to just take it as far as you can.
Yeah.
So they basically thought, okay, we'll take the characters from Back to the Future, the Doc and just the normal kid.
Yeah. And we'll just make our
And
own
we'll just.
twisted
So have you ever
adventures.
seen the animated short, one of the originals? Yeah, that face tells me you have. Do you want to say what happens?
Oh, I'm happy to go through it.
As clean as possible?
I tried to forget it, but I remember Morty got something stuck in a tree.
Yeah.
So Rick suggested going back in time and stopping the man who planted the tree.
Yeah.
So his kite wouldn't get stuck in there.
Yeah, I think you're on the money.
And
Yeah.
something happens, and suddenly Rick is
Come on.
sucking the penis of Rick.
Morty is sucking
Morty.
Rick's
Morty,
penis.
Morty is sucking Rick's penis and
Yeah,
tugging
why?
at it to do something.
Yeah.
To go back in time. It's really.
Yeah.
I thought it was. When our friend showed us, I thought it was a fan made.
Yeah, it does look like because it's really
But
really
it's got
average.
the voices, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh man, that's real. Like it's drawn horribly. It's so
Yeah.
It's weird to think that's where it started.
Yeah.
Morty
It
sucking
started.
Rick's
It
dick.
basically started out as a joke, and then it morphed into like they were like, why don't we do this into a real put this into an actual show? It makes me think of as well. You know, like the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
There was 2 pilots, and the original pilot Sheldon was like a creep.
Yeah.
And there's like a scene where I think he hits on Penny or he hits on a girl, and they like the audience didn't test well to that. They were like, yeah, no. And then so they basically went the other way and made him asexual.
Bazinga. Remember that classic line in Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, well, this is not a Big Bang Theory episode.
Bazinga.
But what I'm saying is though, like the original concept was so different from how the show actually came about.
Yeah.
And then so the first 10 episodes like sort of were released week by week because this again was before Netflix. So 2013, all those 4 years ago.
Netflix had just started.
Netflix has been out since 1999, but Netflix was originally DVDs. Netflix's business model was sending out DVDs to people, like mailing them out.
When did it start streaming though?
2012, I think. But their
2012.
first original was House of Cards in 2013, and then Orange Is the New Black, and then and now it's just like Netflix releases a show a week.
Well, aren't they?
We may have just done an episode on it that you can listen to all the Netflix shows, but believe it or not, 2013 there was only like 2 or 3 Netflix shows. So streaming, the idea of binge watching and shows being released all at once, which is kind of normal now, back then was still an episode at a time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the thing as well is, like, obviously shows like survive on their ratings, but it didn't do too well in its first season. It wasn't that pop. It wasn't like an instant hit. It sort of built steam. I think by the second season,
they were seeing over 1 million views. And I think by the end of the second season, they might have been on like 2 million views.
Yeah, it would have been about that. Which for them is pretty good.
When they did that soft opening for season 3, it dropped down to like 600K.
That's because they didn't announce it.
Shot right back up.
Yeah, but and now they're doing better. They've actually since we did the Netflix episode, Nielsen, who does like the ratings for TV, did their first ratings for Netflix.
Oh, really?
They did Stranger Things.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and I think they worked out it's about 15.8 million people watched Stranger Things.
Wow.
In its first week. Yeah, I don't know exactly how they did it, but basically that means that it would have been the most watched season premiere of all time. But that was only like US and Canada figures, so it didn't even count international.
Yeah, like Australia and all that.
Yeah, so they've got one release of figures, and that shows how big streaming services are now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But back then, so when Rick and Morty first came out, it was kind of like I guess like a sleeper hit. What that term is, it's like when something gets released and then it slowly becomes huge.
All word of mouth.
Yeah.
You see like clips of it on YouTube and you're like, oh, that's funny.
And it catches on.
Yeah.
Like The Room. The Room's a great example. When it was released, it ran for 2 weeks in a cinema and no one gave a shit. But now it's like one of the biggest things. Biggest movies of all time.
Well, like Big Mouth a little bit. Like I've only seen clips of that on YouTube or in discussion with friends.
Yeah.
But it's sitting there right in front of me.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and that's only new. Like, sleeper hits usually take about 6 months to a year to start picking up steam. So a good example from this year is The Big Sick, which is Kumail Nanjiani. It's like a kind of like a romantic comedy. It got released about April, May, and it's still like showing in cinemas. Like, and he's still doing press because it's just getting huge. It's like considered the best movie of the year. I saw it the other day. Great movie.
Gotta watch it. Watch it.
Yeah. It's very Annie Hall styled. But back to Rick and Morty. So when I watched season 1, I watched it on Netflix when it was when it got put on Netflix, and I don't know. It was just too much. Like the animation. How would you describe the animation? Like, it's not like The Simpsons style. It's like not basic, but
it's a good mix. I think it's a good mix. I think they don't put a lot of effort in just the basic house suburban main characters, but when it comes to the real importance of the show, like the sci-fi element, that's when they put all their sort of eggs in one basket. So I don't have any problems with the animation. I think it's fine. I never went, oh, that looks bad, or...
No, not like that, but I just think there was... Watching, especially the pilot episodes, if you've never watched Rick and Morty, obviously start at the start, it's just so dense, like so much happens. When I like watching a show, the faster the show feels like it went, I think the better it is. So like Breaking Bad, you could watch a whole season of Breaking Bad, maybe not season 1 because that's a bit slow, but the later seasons you could watch a whole season and be like, oh shit, I've just spent 5 hours watching a season. Whereas when you watch a whole episode of Rick and Morty, I'm always checking the time.
Well, then you don't enjoy it then.
Well, that's what I was saying. That's what we were talking about, that we didn't originally like. Well, I didn't originally like Rick and Morty. I was like watching it thinking...
But how's that the animation captivating you? That should be the humor.
Yeah, but I'm trying to break it down. I'm trying to break it down.
Okay.
I'm trying to say, why should I watch? I was trying to say, why should I watch Rick and Morty?
Okay.
You know what this podcast is, yeah?
No.
So haven't figured it out.
Keep going about your animation.
We both went to take a drink. Dead air. This is why we need a third guest. No. So it's just like I was kind of, you know what it was? I was watching it thinking like, why am I watching this? Like, what am I going to get out of this? Because basically the premise of Rick and Morty, as we've explained, is like Rick's like an old... What is he like? I don't even know. He's like in his 60s or something. Yeah, and he's like an alcoholic inventor. Yeah. And he always drags Morty on these adventures.
But he's very well known and well respected across the universe and the Earth. But at the same time, he's also he's the smartest man in the universe.
Yeah.
He's created his own society as well.
Yeah, later you
has
find that out. Yeah,
Good and bad Ricks. Like it
the
gets
Citadel.
really like I think it gets. That was my only kind of shortcoming with the show. It's starting to get really like out there, like with the whole like how like I think like there was so many things because he was so smart. It just felt like there was always an answer for things.
Yeah,
and like they just like even if there was a big problem happening, it would just be solved. Oh, I've got this.
Yeah,
I've got this device.
That's
this floaters away.
There's no like tension because like he can just invent whatever he wants to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
So that's what I felt like the situations were forced, and I get that like that's kind of the comedy premise where the episode, I think it was the highest rated episode, which I think is it 9.9 or 10, the Citadel episode in season 3.
I think it's 9.8.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, it's like one of the highest episodes, but Morty starts out with this other problem. He's like, we got to do this. And Rick's like, I don't care about that. And like, you know, they can just throw a premise away and go and do something completely different.
Oh, you know. That's
Oh, yeah, it was like about the lost city of Atlantis. He's like, oh, we have to go get the lost... I can't do the voice, but he's like, we got to go... that was terrible. He's like, we got to do something with the lost city of Atlantis. And Rick's like, no, I don't care about that. Let's go on a different adventure.
Yeah. No, I think that's funny, though. Is it because...
Yeah, I know.
Did you think because you'd seen shows like that before, like Futurama, where like... Bender's,
you know, never...
It's like... Rick reminds me of... the characters from Futurama, Bender and the Professor.
Mm-hmm. Definitely,
combined.
Yeah. He's like a mix. Yeah, he's the alcoholic professor.
And Morty is a bit like Fry in a way.
Yeah. The everyman.
Just Fry.
The everyman. Yeah,
just Fry.
Yeah.
He's stuck in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So do you think you'd seen a bit of that before? Like you were going back to Futurama, going an alcoholic.
I got to tell you about Futurama.
Science.
This is a big shame of mine, but I've barely watched it. I've seen maybe 3 or 4 episodes.
Really?
Yeah. And it's like
oh my gosh,
it's like
alley,
it's like
mate.
Monty Python. Yeah, it's like a nerdy show with a lot of references. Something I would like, but I just couldn't get into Futurama
Absolutely.
either.
I've seen them all, mate.
Yeah,
it's a very clever show.
But you know what it is? I think my problem with Futurama is actually the same problem with Rick and Morty when it's sort of like absurdity for the sake of absurdity.
Yeah,
I kind of like, and I think that's even with Monty Python as well, where I'm kind of like I like shows that are rooted in real life.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you've seen Community, it's very absurd and like genre bending and all that, but it's still rooted in like a group of people at a community college. Like there's a bit of reality, and see, I find that as like for writing, I like that. I see the challenge of being a good writer, and it's probably a lot of people probably disagree, but if you like Breaking Bad's a great example. If you can take the real world stuff that really happens and can make a good story out of that,
yeah.
I think that's harder to write than like J.R.R. Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings because you can write anything if it's fantasy. This is why I don't like Game of Thrones. I'm just going to go on a rant about all the shows I don't
Any
like.
sci-fi.
You've opened me up, Sean. What is it?
God, here we go.
We're like 18 minutes in. You've broken me down. I'm going to just go on a rant. No, but it goes to the reason why I don't like Rick. Well, I didn't like Rick and Morty in that. The fantasy worlds of like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, I don't like get. To me, like I lose track of like why can't they just like there's that argument about Lord of the Rings about the eagles. Why couldn't they just fly the eagles?
Yeah. You're one of those people.
I am one of those people.
It's about the journey, man. You know,
I know
story.
that. Yeah, but
you're fixated in reality too much. Too much.
Okay, I'm too real.
You need to watch Lord of the Rings and think about the journey. It's about the characters.
Isn't it just like two gay hobbits?
They can't just fly over there on the eagles because
there'd be no story.
Nazguls would take them down.
Okay.
Which are dragons.
Yeah.
When they go over Mordor.
But then how did they get there with the eagles anyway?
Okay. No, because the army had already been destroyed.
Oh, whatever. Look, but even that stuff you're saying though that was stuff that he made up. He could just take out the Nazguls if he wanted to. They're just created to be part of this story I don't care about.
You got to accept it.
Okay, that's a good point though. Like with Rick and Morty, you have to accept the absurdity.
Exactly.
You've got to like buy into. Okay, what's are they going to get up to this time?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a good example, the episode that I really enjoyed. The first episode I sat down and was like, this is amazing, was Rick 60 Minutes, which is the one where they're watching TV and it goes through all the different channels.
Oh,
You're looking
gets
blank,
the,
yeah.
the
It's
Universal
season one.
controller.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
the Universal remote.
Yeah.
And he goes to different channels, and then like they start thinking maybe we're in a TV show. See, that's the kind of stuff
the
that I
virtual
like.
reality.
Yes,
His wife
yeah.
is having. They're watching. What is she watching? She's watching like their marriage or something.
Yeah.
And she starts drinking and like.
Yeah, and then it just goes into, and I think that episode was, and the other one, the one with the Citadel, which I can't remember the name of the episode, but I could probably look it up. Rick and Morty fan, true Rick and Morty fans would know, so they can shout it. They can shout it into their earphones at the moment.
Isn't it a Rick in Time?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Maybe
a Rick in Time. Yeah.
Maybe.
With all the multiple Ricks and all that,
Yeah.
because it's a story that like makes sense, and it was sort of commenting on the election, like with Donald Trump, and they had the, where he's like, we need more lasers. How would you solve global inequality? We need more lasers, and everyone's like, yeah, more lasers.
Cool.
Yeah. The Rick's 2 Minutes episode was great because it took the concept of like they're just sitting at home watching TV, and then the interdimensional stuff.
Yeah,
where they're going through all the channels, but it put it into like
it felt very South Park-ish kind of thing. For example, in season 6, they're trying to watch a trailer for the new Terrence and Phillip movie.
Yes,
Asses of Fire 2, and
of course,
it's something. It's only it's not a big part of the episode, but they're having problems getting to a TV to watch it because something keeps happening.
Yeah.
So they're going to different houses. They go to Chef's house.
Yeah.
And he's got this big controller and he's typing on these buttons and the TV turns into a robot and runs out of the room and starts shooting people and causing chaos. It's sort of it's like that basic we're just trying to watch a trailer, but then we've incorporated some sort of sci-fi aspect. But it all flows really easily.
Yeah.
And you don't lose track of the characters and their feelings and it sort of reminds me of that.
Yeah, it's good because you've got the premise. The premise is set up and then it's like executed and it just keeps upping the absurdity. It's just like when there's some episodes where there's the one with the dog or whatever, and they take the dog through the dimension or something.
Yep.
And I get it like as well. The other thing too is I don't know if you appreciate it, but do you get like when there's like different aliens and stuff? Do you recognize most of the voices? Because a lot of them are people like Dan Harmon's worked with. Like I'm pretty sure everyone in the cast of Communities had a voice in it, like Joel McHale, Ken Jeong, Stephen Colbert,
Maurice LaMarche.
Maurice
LaMarche. He was on Futurama a lot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Phil, not Phil Hartman. Phil.
He's dead.
Oh wow, is he? Phil Hartman.
Yeah, he got shot by his wife.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh god.
Yeah.
Phil.
I think Small Soldiers was his last role.
He played Hermes in Futurama. See, here you go. Can't even relate to it.
I know who Hermes is. I know the characters. I just don't watch it that much.
That's another voice that's come up. But I do, yeah. You get those characters and you're like, hang on, that could be Joe DiMaggio.
You recognise the voice, yeah.
It's got that cast of Tracy McNeil.
Yeah, from Scrubs. Are you talking about Scrubs, who plays the mother?
Tracy McGrace. I'm thinking of these Futurama voice actors and they're just not... Oh, they're not coming. Billy West as well is a big voice actor.
Yeah, he was Fry, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, good job, man. And yeah, we're going into Futurama.
The Rick Lantis mix-up. That's the episode.
There you go. Rick Lantis, classic. Well, when because I don't know why I was so against Rick and Morty.
Okay.
I'll tell you my backstory. I because I saw so much hype about it.
Yep.
So much merchandise. It didn't draw me in as much.
The fans are annoying. I want to put that out there. I
a
want
little
to fight.
Bit. They're very defensive.
I'm not even afraid to say it. You can fight me, fans.
You meet any fan, and they're just like they're right into it, and they, it's just so much. And you see, and like our local beta bar night, they had a Rick and Morty night.
Video game themed bar.
It's a video game themed bar.
You can't just say beta bar
in Melbourne,
like people would know.
And they had a Rick and Morty night, and it's just so much hype around it. It kind of scares you off a little bit. It's like The Witcher 3. I have The Witcher 3 collecting dust because I've heard so many raving reviews about it that I think, what happens if it just doesn't meet my expectations, and then I'll stop.
Yeah.
And then I'd wasted my time. And then I think one night I just kind of cracked it, and
I remember that night you were like, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I just sat down. And I just watched it. And before I knew it. I'd completed season 1, and I
Yeah.
was, telling the boys, hey, I'm up to
Yeah,
season
I've done
2.
it.
It kept going and going, and then, it just steamrolled. I'd be watching 6 episodes a day,
Yeah.
and then
And then
I
you finally caught
completed
up.
it.
Yeah.
So it grasps you so well, because I think the humor is so. I can't believe I'm comparing this to it, but it's like Family Guy a little bit.
Yeah. No, I see that.
It kind of grasps you. It's like a shotgun. It's just,
Yeah.
it's one joke after the other.
Yeah.
It hits you hard. You
Yeah.
laugh at the absurdity, and
Yeah,
it
it
quickly
is,
moves
yeah.
on. You can't. It doesn't. It's not like Seinfeld, where the jokes they kind of build to something, or they kind of, you got to really think about the jokes, and there's a payoff to it.
I
In
think
Rick and
I think
Morty,
there is another layer of that.
it's like, it's so offensive and shocking
Yeah.
that you kind of get addicted to it. And
Okay.
that's the kind
Addiction.
of humor I like South Park.
Yeah, I
kind
get
of
it. It
humour.
is. It's a lot like South Park. With there's like the social commentary mixed in with the absurdity. Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
and because in our friends group, and as a guy, we treat our friends like shit
Do we?
a little bit.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
seeing that Rick and Morty just treating each other like absolute trash, it's like, that's so real.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point. Yeah.
Like,
didn't think of it like that.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's not one of these shows that's just, being sensitive and all that. It is in your
That is
face.
actually true. Yeah. It's
And
just
especially
like
this time as well. Nowadays, where everyone's got something to complain about.
yeah.
Rick and Morty's just still there, like, nah, we're just doing whatever. If Morty wants to suck Rick's dick, he will.
Yeah. Well, that's not canon.
I hope
That is a good point. That like in the context of how the world is now with like Donald Trump and all that, like. And in the careers of Dan Harmon and I mean Justin Roiland too was like pretty sure he was like a comic book artist, like voice actor.
Yeah.
Like he did like a lot of smaller projects and things. He was pretty well known in his circle. But Dan Harmon was huge because of like Community and all of his other projects. They basically have free reign now to do whatever they want. You can tell
100%.
they've just been given this show and they just said
They're almost on
what you like.
James Franco, Seth Rogen level. Where
they've proved themselves.
You
so,
guys can make something great.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah, take
It's
your
gonna
time
be a
and
hit.
and that's why like with the budgets and stuff, it's hard because like there's no with TV you can get ratings, but there's very little about like production costs, like the budget. There's very little about revenue because it's like TV shows just constantly make money because every time they get rerun and they get like their Netflix deals.
Yep, all the merchandise
International,
as well, and
I mean movies have merchandise too, but it's just so hard to track how much a TV show makes. But obviously, like, it's profitable because the fan base is so strong.
Oh, 100%.
But the other thing is, like, you can tell they've got the free reign because it took 1.5 years for season 3 to come out. Like, they took their time.
And that's at the start of the potty. I said
Yeah.
I want to go back to that. I really enjoy them bringing it out every 2 years. I know it sucks because it's such a long wait.
Yeah.
But I'd rather it than just be every week a new episode comes out. Because really, like, you can see it in every other show that does that.
Yeah.
It really, really strains on the quality of shows.
A lot of the time, especially when they're like full sitcoms of like 20 episodes, 23 episodes or whatever.
Yeah.
To get that done in a year, like, that shows have to decline eventually.
Yeah, and even with, like, say for example The Simpsons, when you're doing so many episodes,
I love how you pronounce The Simpsons.
if a writer or anyone just drops out or moves on,
you
can
there's
just
a change
see
up.
the big shift mid-season.
Yeah.
Like when Conan O'Brien just leaves.
Yeah.
That little tweak
Yep.
kind of goes.
The monorail episode.
The monorail episode, great episode. So yeah, I'm happy for them just to let it go for a long time. I think it's a great marketing thing as well. You just tease it just enough.
Yes.
So when it does come, it's.
I think that's, you know how like we started this podcast about the hype and all that.
Yeah.
I think you make a good point about that. If they wait a little longer than people expect, because people are usually used to a year for a new show episode. Like Stranger Things season 2 just came out from a year ago, season 1.
Yeah.
But with Rick and Morty, it's like you're gonna have to wait longer. They're making
it's
people
sort of
wait.
like in the anime industry as well. It's a bit like
Yeah.
that, where there was a series called Attack on Titan, which did a very good first season.
Yep.
And it took about almost 2 years for the second season to come out.
Yeah.
They knew that the audience was waiting.
Yeah, but they just took
But
their
they
time.
just waited.
That's good.
Took their time. In the middle, brought games out, bought spin-off series.
Yeah.
They just waited that little bit extra longer.
Yeah.
And it pays off. People are waiting, and yeah, it's a smart move.
Yeah, it makes sense. just before we go as well, did you know that a way they marketed, I think it might have been the third season, between the second and third to keep people interested, there's like an Instagram thing. And you know how like Instagram has like the photos?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like set out like a grid. Apparently it was like a maze. So you'd click on one picture and there was like a clue and you had to click onto like another picture and you could go, it's like tagged. So it's like each picture had like 9 squares or something and each one had its own tag. So you'd like, it's like a choose your own adventure through Instagram. Yeah. Have you heard of that?
No, I've
yeah,
never seen
I haven't looked at it yet, but that's something you can look at if you're, I don't even know if it still exists, like the Rick and Morty Instagram.
If I needed my fix, I'll go and do your little maze.
Oh, yeah. No, but I think it's just like, because you know we've started talking about TV shows as well, like Netflix and that.
Yeah.
There's just so much. I think this is like, you know, it's like the golden era of TV with like Breaking Bad and all the that sort of kind of started it. But now there's so many shows, and with like Netflix and that, creators are given like free reign now. They know that's what gives you the best kind of show.
Yeah.
But I guess if you put it in that context, Rick and Morty is pretty like good. That it's like 2 guys at the top of their career,
100%.
creating quality content.
Can I just shout out to Stan? Yeah. My subscription has gone up 20 cents. No, sorry, $2. I used to pay $10 a month for Stan, and now it's gone up to $12. No notification as well.
Yeah, keep going.
Just $12. No notification.
And it doesn't even have Rick and Morty on it.
Doesn't even have Rick and Morty.
Any last words, Sean?
I think give Stan, I want my $2 back.
What about Rick and Morty?
Rick and Morty is a fine show.
Yeah, look, I mean,
definitely watch it again.
Even this chat, you've like with the comparisons to other stuff. Yeah, you've made me. I'm gonna re binge it again, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, you can see
a third time. I'll give it another chance.
It's like Futurama, a bit of Family Guy, but not as obnoxious. Bit of South Park as well.
Yeah.
But South Park's a little bit more relevant, a little bit more tame.
Yeah.
Where Rick and Morty is just on that
other
little obscure level.
Yeah.
But it's also refreshing at the same time, which is hard to do because any show that's coming out like that is going to take influence from other shows.
Exactly.
Like what show now isn't taking influence from The Simpsons?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so,
and I mean, any show with a character, Mr. Poopy Pants or Mr. Poopy Butthole, whatever his name is.
Mr. Meeseeks.
Yeah.
All the classics.
It's got to be a good show. All
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you for listening.
Rick and Morty.
Stan, $2.